I guess first let's address the problem. What's one of the biggest problems in the classroom? And it's building the relationship or making corrections without having it escalate or be a power struggle or any of the ways it can get derailed. So here's the trick with the 1 minute manager. It's real simple. It's 1 to 3. There's the magic. 1 to 3. So what does that mean? It means every time you make a correction, you try to find 3 positive things first. Now, is that going to work every day in the classroom? No. I've been in the classroom for 10 years. I know it doesn't work. But at the essence of it, what can we learn from it? Well, if every time you go to a student and the interaction is a correction or a negative or just not a good experience for the kid, it's not hard to figure out. They're going to be conditioned to when they see you, they're going to assume it's going to be a negative interaction. That's a really rough way to teach and to build any kind of classroom community. So, so for example, in the restaurant, if every time I went to an employee and said, "Hey, you messed up this table. Hey, this food's wrong," whatever the situation may be, I would be a very ineffective manager because every time I went to someone, they just assume it was going to be bad news and they turn me off before I even got a chance to say what I was going to say. Whereas if you find the positives first and you have the beginnings of that relationship, so that way when you do go to a student, the first thing they think is like, "Oh, here comes Mr. Webster again, going to tell me what I'm doing wrong, probably going to tell me to stop talking or whatever, whatever your situation is." Surprise them. It's so easy to find a kid doing something well. I don't care what it is. I've had kids knock off a pencil and pick it up. It takes 1 second to say, "Thanks a lot, Amir. I appreciate you grabbing that pencil so I don't trip and fall on it when I'm walking around." I always make it as a joke towards myself, and it just lightens the mood and it makes it not forced. If a kid comes over, they put their name on their paper just right. They put their number in the upper right hand corner. How hard is it to say to that kid, who you're probably going to have some sort of issue with later that day just because that's the way some kids are. They require more check-ins. How hard is it to say, "Wow, John, whatever. I love the fact I can read your name so well and you put your number in the right-hand corner. I know it seems silly, but that number in the right-hand corner really makes my day so much easier. I appreciate you writing it nice and neat. You have some of the best handwriting in the class." That kid's going to walk away feeling great. And that way, the next time they come to my desk, they're not going to be dreading what I'm going to say. They might be like, "Well, it's 50-50. He's either going to be, he might have something good, he might have something to correct." It just can't be all corrections all the time. So, like I said, I've never heard this strategy mentioned in any of the trainings I've sat through. And I've sat through hundreds of them at this point in time. And I'm not saying responsive classroom isn't great and you can't use it. But what does it hurt to look outside the box? There's a whole nother world out there outside of teaching. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I want to share some of these tips. My background is very diverse. I mean, my first experience in management was in the military, which is a very different management style than it was in the restaurants. And that, of course, is very different too. I teach fifth grade. You cannot handle those situations the same way. That being said, it doesn't mean there aren't great tips from the rest of the careers I've had that have massively helped me in the classroom. I would say worst case scenario, try it for a week when you start the new year off. Every kid, find one thing a week that kid did positively. It's not going to be easy some days. Some kids it's going to be hard. I don't care if it's walking down the hallway, being quiet. Maybe that kid's only quiet for 30 seconds when they're walking down the hallway. Get that 30 seconds. Find that 30 seconds right there. Be like, "I really appreciate you being quiet. I get yelled at by other teachers when you guys are talking in the hallway, and it drives me nuts. I really appreciate you being on the same team and helping me out." It's not fake, and it's not just, you know, praising for no reason. But instead of finding the problem, find the positive. That's it. Find the positive. You spend your day looking for what a kid is doing well and looking for what a kid is being successful at. What a great way to spend your day versus looking for the negative. I mean, I've fallen prey to both. I'm not going to say that every day I'm, Johnny Sunshine. I'm not. But at least I try to keep that in the back of my head. I always joke around, like I try to be more Mr. Rogers and less Ron Swanson. Uh, some days I fail, some days I'm better. But there are hundreds of things a kid does during the course of the day that it's so easy just to catch them doing the right thing. And you would be amazed, kids will look forward to seeing you. I've had kids that I've had very challenging relationships with. Challenging as in like being cursed out, being told they hate me. However, eventually you break them down. You take that kid, even the kid who's incredibly disrespectful or having a really hard time, they're kids. It's not personal. You can't take it personally. Give them a chance to find them doing the right thing. And I think you will be amazed at, well, A, how much better you feel, because I've never once in my entire time felt good when I yelled at a kid. I've never walked away from that situation being like, yep, that was the right thing. I walk away from being like, I lost. I didn't keep my composure. I didn't keep my the way I want to teach intact, and I wasn't true to who I am. I didn't get into teaching and leave the other world to yell at children. So just put in the back of your head, what can you find a kid doing positively? And make that your mission for the day.